This is the third lecture in a 10-module email course to teach creators, marketers, analysts, and journalists how to use AI to build data-driven stories faster, smarter, and more creatively. In this quick hit video, we'll cover 4 topics. First, we'll define what predictive modeling is. Second, we'll walk through the 5 steps to create a no-code predictive model. Third, we'll summarize some of the key skills you might need. And fourth, we'll walk through an example of how to build a no-code predictive model using AI. Imagine knowing which athlete is about to have a breakout season before it happens. What if your story didn't just explain the past but forecasted the future? That's the power of predictive modeling. In this module, we'll walk you through how to use AI to build predictive models in sports, using hockey player performance as our example. Predictive modeling is the process of using data to make informed guesses about future outcomes. In sports, that means answering questions like, how many goals will this player score next season? Will this rookie outperform expectations? Is this team likely to make the playoffs? Predictive models are found everywhere and have increasingly become an integrated part of many professional sports. You can find predictive models in fantasy sports, sports betting, fan engagement, and so on. In hockey, predictive models use past player stats such as points, shot quality, ice time, penalties, and more to estimate future performance. Predictive models are not just about telling the future, they're also about telling amazing stories. Let's say you want to predict an NHL hockey player's points per game for the upcoming NHL season. What do you do? Where do you start? And how can AI help? Let's walk through the different steps to build a model using ChatGPT. The first step is to gather the data that you'll use to train your model. Predictive models are based on historical events, so we need historical data before we can forecast the future. Ideally, you'll want the last 3 seasons of player statistics: games played, goals, assists, points, time on ice, power play goals, expected goals, and shots on goal. Next is the second step, creating features. In the world of data science, a feature is an individual measurable property or characteristic of the phenomenon being observed. In other words, it is an input variable used to make predictions or understand patterns in data, typically a column in your dataset. In our hockey example, for you to predict a player's PPG, you'll probably want to look at their shots on goals, time on ice, and other statistics. When you think about features, ask yourself what would be good representative observations that would contribute to what you're trying to predict. You now want to train the model. After you've collected data and established your features, you'll use a specific type of algorithm to build the predictive model. 2 often used approaches in predictive models are the use of a regression model to estimate a continuous variable like points per game, and the use of a classification model if predicting categories, for example, win or lose. Because we're trying to predict a player's points per game, we can start with a regression model, which will help us paint a future trend for a player. Now it's time to build the model. You can choose to build the model yourself, but this will require some specific machine learning or AI knowledge. Or you can use ChatGPT or other AI tools to build a predictive model for you. After you have the prediction, you can download the results from ChatGPT. This might be more data or a chart or visualization that shows how a data point will move in the future. You can use these types of output to build your story. You don't need to be a machine learning engineer to build a predictive model, but you do need to understand how the AI makes decisions and how to check its work. For example, there are some key concepts that are helpful to understand when building predictive models. First, train and test split, which means dividing your data into training and testing groups. Second, overfitting, which is where the model is memorizing instead of learning. Third, feature importance, so what variables are influencing the outcome. Fourth, accuracy metrics, or knowing how to measure model success. And fifth, understanding what tools and languages are available for you to have more control over your models. Learning how to do some programming with AI as your assistant will open your world to some pretty damn cool things. Okay, we've talked enough. Let's now walk through an example and build a simple predictive model. In this walkthrough, we're going to build a predictive model for points per game and then rank the top 5 players for next season. You're going to use 3 tools in this walkthrough. First, you'll use Hockey Reference to get 3 years worth of data. Second, you'll use Microsoft Excel to clean and transform the data. And third, you'll use ChatGPT to run your analysis and build your model. Let's walk through each step. you can get player data by the season on Hockey Reference. For your convenience, we've sourced, cleaned, and combined 4 seasons worth of data. You can find the individual seasons, combined season data, and Python code that concatenates the files in our GitHub repo. You can use the combined player data file as the starting data set to use for the model building process. We'd recommend trimming the file down to only those columns that you need. You'll now select the features for your model. This is an integral part of the model building process. The features will be used as inputs, and if these data points don't have a relationship to the variable or outcome you're trying to predict, then your model accuracy will suffer. The next step is to input the following prompt into ChatGPT. This filters the data set to include only forwards and then runs a correlation analysis. This will discover the strength of the relationship between the potential predictor variables and points per game. Note that average time on ice and shots on goal per game have the highest correlation in this test run. Average time on ice has a positive correlation of 0.84. Shots on goal per game has a positive correlation of 0.81. These are both strong. We'll now train the model using the 4 seasons worth of player data. Note that we only want the forwards for this model because we know defensemen tend to score less on their shots and have higher playmaking production. This next view is where you are prompting ChatGPT to build a linear regression model using the 2 features, average time on ice and shots on goal per game. The results should allow us to find the top 5 predicted point producers for next season. After ChatGPT creates the model, it will likely ask you if you want to visualize the results. Assuming you say yes, the below is what you will see. You can now look at the stats in any number of ways. For example, you could find the top 5 point-producing players using the predicted P/TSPG value, see how the youngest players will fare in the next season, or explore the data for outliers. Using the linear regression model, the top 5 point-producing players for next season are listed here. Your story here could be that Nathan MacKinnon is predicted to be the top scorer in the next season. If you followed along, you've created a no-code predictive model using AI. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. There are a ton of different models that you can build using AI. If you want more information, be sure to check out our GitHub repo, sign up for free content and courseware at datapunk.media, and like and subscribe our channel here. We publish new content weekly, so you can be the first to know when we publish it.